Here's how I made these 4 adorable cousin quilts. A little while ago, I was on the Lucky Deluxe website and I found this that I thought was a single panel, but it was actually several yards. And my youngest daughter had the idea to put it all together into 4 separate quilts for her and her cousin. I was thinking of just doing borders, but then she also had the idea to cut them all up and have it look like a window pane so that you were looking out onto the city. So I've cut them into 4 different panels like this, and we're gonna be chopping them up. So I have folded everything selvage to selvage like this, and then I trimmed everything up to make it square like this. So this is gonna be 2 panels like this, and then I have another one that is also gonna be the 2 panels like that. Okay, then I'm gonna rotate it so that the selvage is up here and I can cut it off, and the fold is down here, and that way I can make sure everything is squared along here when I go to cut this off. Once I have that all trimmed up, now I'm ready to start cutting my squares. Now, the way that my math is working out, mine are gonna be a little bit more rectangular, like a 9 by 7, but I think it'll still work out great. Would you get off of that? That's not helpful. And once I have these all cut apart, I'm gonna be really careful labeling them because they need to stay in a certain order. So I'll probably just start at the top, and this will be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, etc. Once those are all cut and organized, we're gonna start cutting the black strips, which are gonna be our sashing to join them together like a window pane. Next up, you're gonna wanna cut a bunch of these 2-inch widths. Now, the amount is gonna be very different for you because you might be doing something that's a little bit different of a size, but I wanna show you the process, and that way you'll be able to figure out your own pattern. Now, I'm gonna do mine 2 inches, and you can see if you like that look or not. It's gonna end up pretty thin, and that's how I want it to look. If you want it to look a little bit bigger, you might wanna do like 2.5, or maybe even scoot over all the way to like 3 inches. All right, now is where the math starts. We need to subcut all of our little black strips to go in between each of these rows, and then it'll go out that way as well. So I won't put one at the top because that'll be for a border, and I'm not gonna put them on the outside here because that will be for a border also. So I really just wanna do 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and I want them to be 9 inches long by those 2 inches that I cut. And the way I have mine cut, I have 3 of these 9-inch rows. So I'm gonna multiply the 5 this way by the 3 rows. So that's gonna give me 15 of those I need to cut. Now I'm doing 4 of these at one time, so that 15 gets multiplied by 4, and that's gonna give me 60. All right, so you've cut your 60, and I've laid them out a little bit so you can kind of see what it'll look like. So we're gonna sew them on the bottom of each of these, except for the very last one. We don't need to sew it on the bottom of this because we're gonna be doing a border. And that's why we're not sewing it on the top of that one. And now we're just gonna do a whole bunch of chain stitching and get these all put together. And then once you sew all of the black pieces on, you're gonna start sewing your rows like this and then press your seams. Once you have your rows all put together, then you'll add on this last piece that we left off. Once we have it laid out the way we need it, we're going to take a measurement from top to bottom, and then we're gonna cut a 2-inch width of fabric that is that long. And that's the sashing that we're gonna use to join our window panes. All right, mine measured 46.5, so I did 4 of them. 2 of them are gonna go on the ends, and 2 of them are gonna go in between my 3 panels. These ones on the end are gonna be the start of our borders, so once we get this all sewn together, all we need to do is measure the top and bottom, and then we can do the borders for that. Now we have all of our columns sewn together, so we need to take the measurements of the top and bottom and the middle over here. Then you're gonna average those 3 together and cut some more 2-inch black strips. That will be an average of those 3 numbers together. So I'm gonna be going with, it's gonna be 31 5/8 over here. It is really important when you're sewing long strips like this that you pin at the top and the bottom, and then also pin all along here. So I usually find top, bottom, middle, and then the middle of those, and then the middle of those, and that way I pin all along and it's not gonna move around on me. All right, so here's our finished window pane panel. Now, if I was doing this for 4 little cousins, this would be a great child size. However, we have big cousins. So I'm gonna be adding on some colorful borders onto the sides and the tops. I just have to figure out what kind of colors. Maybe I'll do different colors for each cousin. But I absolutely love it. That was a great idea to put it kind of like window panes. Okay, we're gonna skip ahead a little bit, mainly because I forgot to film everything. But I added on some, for this particular one that I'm working on, some black borders on each side to get it to be the size that I want it for a good throw size. So I already added it on, I have it all quilted. So I basically found the top to bottom measurement of the window panes, and then I did a border on each side, and then I took the measurement of the width, and then I subtracted that from the size that I wanted it to be overall, and I divided that in half. So for instance, if this was 20, which it wasn't, but let's say it's 20, and I want my whole width to be 50, that means I'm short 30 inches. So I would take that 30 inches and I would divide that in half. So I do a 15-inch border over there and a 15-inch border over there. And then I have it the right width. So now I need to take the measurement from the bottom windows up to the top windows and do the same thing and subtract it. So let's say the bottom to the top was 50 inches, but I wanted it to be 70. That means I'm short 20 inches. So I would do 10 inches at the bottom and then 10 inches at the top. So we finished it all up like that. I did some quilting. I did a lot of meandering lines here on the edges. And then my daughter wanted some of the little loops and swirls on all of the window panes. And then, are those? No, these are panes. These are out of the frame. And then in all of the window panes, we kind of did this kind of like wind or clouds or something like that. So it's still free motion, but all different kinds. And then here is my other daughter's. She wanted olive green. So we did the same sort of thing, we're just making 4 of them at one time. She wanted an olive green. This is my long arming pile that I need to get to. These are the other 2, and those are gonna be for the other 2 cousins. So I think we're gonna do a lighter blue and a darker blue on those ones, and then they all still need to pick out their backing. So I'm gonna be busy for the next few weeks.